Buried inside old jars, dusty drawers, and forgotten piggy banks could be 3 filthy Lincoln pennies worth a shocking fortune. Most people ignore these dark, dirty coins, but collectors are paying hundreds, thousands, even life-changing money for the rarest hidden treasures. The mysterious 1943 copper penny, the legendary 1955 double-die penny, and the ultra-rare 1969 double-die penny have stunned the coin world with jaw-dropping values. Before you spend another old penny, check your pocket carefully, because your next dirty Lincoln cent could secretly be worth a fortune beyond belief. If you have a filthy old 1981 Lincoln penny hiding in a jar, a toolbox, or even your pocket right now, you could be holding a hidden treasure worth thousands of dollars, and in some shocking cases, collectors have paid life-changing money for the rarest versions. Most people ignore these dirty brown pennies because they look worthless. But coin experts know a terrifying truth. One tiny detail on a 1981 penny can turn 1 cent into big money almost overnight. And here's the crazy part. Some of these rare pennies were discovered by ordinary people digging through loose change. Imagine finding a coin worth more than your monthly salary sitting in a dusty coffee can. That's exactly why collectors across America and the UK are now hunting for rare 1981 Lincoln cents before prices explode even higher. The 1981 Lincoln penny already has a mysterious reputation among coin hunters because this was one of the final years before the US Mint completely changed the metal composition of the penny in 1982. That means some strange experimental strikes, unusual planchets, and rare transitional features from this era have become legendary among collectors. And when these coins appear old, dark, and dirty, many people spend them without ever realizing the hidden value sitting in their hands. Now pay very close attention, because the first detail you must check is the date and mint mark. Your coin should say 1981, obviously, but underneath the date you may see no mint mark, a D mint mark for Denver, or an S mint mark from San Francisco. Each version has different values, and some errors can bring shocking amounts of money. But before we reveal the biggest money coins, here's where things get wild. A seemingly ordinary 1981 Lincoln penny with a dramatic off-center strike error once sold for hundreds of dollars because part of the design was missing during the minting process. Collectors love these mistakes because they prove the coin escaped the mint with a visible flaw. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Now imagine pulling a dirty penny from circulation and realizing the letters are doubled, the rim looks strange, or the coin was struck on the wrong metal. That's the kind of hidden treasure that keeps collectors awake at night. The most common valuable variety to look for is doubling. Take a magnifying glass and inspect the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date itself. If the letters appear doubled or slightly shifted, you may have a double-die error. Some of these 1981 double-die pennies have sold for hundreds or even thousands depending on condition. And condition matters more than most people realize. Even though we're talking about old and dirty pennies, collectors actually search through ugly coins every single day because rare errors can still be worth serious money. A worn coin with a major mint mistake may still sell for far more than a shiny normal penny. Now here comes one of the most shocking facts. Certain 1981 Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet. That means the coin blank was intended for another denomination or another country entirely. These bizarre mint errors can weigh differently, look slightly off color, or sound unusual when dropped on a table. One wrong planchet Lincoln cent reportedly sold for thousands because collectors considered it an incredible mint accident. So how do you identify one? First, check the color carefully. Most 1981 pennies are brown or reddish-brown today. But if your penny has an unusual silver appearance, pale copper tone, or strange texture, do not clean it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. That ugly dirt and natural aging might actually help prove authenticity. Next, inspect the rim. Valuable error coins often have distorted rims, partial rims, or uneven edges. Some off-center strikes leave one side completely blank, while the opposite side stretches outward dramatically. Those are exactly the types of mint mistakes collectors chase for big money. And now the story gets even crazier. One collector reportedly purchased a group of dirty old pennies at a flea market for almost nothing. Hidden inside was a rare Lincoln cent error worth hundreds of times the purchase price. Stories like this fuel the obsession with coin roll hunting today. People everywhere are searching bankrolls, estate sales, and old piggy banks hoping to uncover life-changing value. But the 1981 penny has another secret most people miss completely. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins in 1981 with mirror-like surfaces made for collectors. These 1981 S-proof pennies can become extremely valuable if they feature deep cameo contrast or rare minting flaws. Some proof error coins from this era have sold for massive premiums because proof coins are supposed to be perfect. When mistakes appear on proof coins, collectors go crazy. That filthy old 1983 D. Lincoln penny hiding in your pocket change could secretly be worth thousands of dollars, and most people spend it without ever realizing they just gave away a hidden treasure. Some of these dirty copper-colored pennies have shocked collectors at auction with life-changing value, and one tiny detail could turn a single cent into big money overnight. Here's the terrifying part. The rarest 1983 D. Lincoln pennies don't look special at first glance. They look old, worn, scratched, and completely ordinary. But deep inside the coin collecting world, experts know that certain 1983 D pennies contain minting mistakes so rare that collectors hunt them obsessively. And tonight, you're going to learn exactly what to look for before another valuable penny disappears back into circulation forever. The story of the 1983 D. Lincoln penny begins during one of the most chaotic periods in modern U.S. coin history. Just 1 year earlier, in 1982, the U.S. Mint made a dramatic change from heavy copper pennies to lighter zinc core cents coated with copper. That transition created confusion, experimental strikes, and strange minting problems that still shock collectors today. By 1983, the Denver Mint was producing billions of pennies, but hidden among them were errors and varieties that nobody noticed at first. These coins slipped quietly into circulation, traveling through gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines, and cash registers for decades. And now some of them are worth serious money. The very first thing you need to check is the mint mark. Look directly below the date. If you see a small D, that means the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Most 1983 D pennies are common, but a few rare examples can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more depending on the error and condition. Now here's where things get exciting. One of the most famous and valuable varieties connected to 1983 pennies is the double die reverse. On these rare coins, the lettering on the back appears dramatically doubled. The words 1 cent and E pluribus unum may look thick, blurry, or duplicated under magnification. Collectors went absolutely crazy when these errors started appearing because the doubling was strong enough to see without expensive equipment. Some examples have sold for hundreds of dollars in circulated condition and thousands in high grades. Imagine digging through a jar of dirty pennies and discovering that one tiny coin has a visible mint error worth more than your paycheck. That's the kind of hidden treasure people dream about. But the double die isn't the only thing you should hunt for. Some 1983 D pennies were struck off-center. This happens when the coin blank moves slightly during the minting process, causing part of the design to disappear. If your penny has missing edges, an uneven rim, or blank areas, do not ignore it. Strong off-center errors can bring huge money depending on how dramatic the mistake appears. And then there are the cracked die errors. These are some of the creepiest looking Lincoln pennies you'll ever see. A cracked die creates raised lines across the surface of the coin, almost like lightning bolts frozen in metal. Some collectors love these errors because every crack pattern is unique. Major die cracks on old and dirty pennies can push values far above normal circulation coins. But now comes one of the most shocking facts of all. A rare 1983 copper penny became legendary because it wasn't supposed to exist. Remember, by 1983 pennies were supposed to be made mostly of zinc. But a few leftover copper planchets from earlier years somehow ended up inside the minting machines. These accidental copper 1983 pennies became some of the most famous modern coin errors in American history. And the value? One authenticated 1983 copper Lincoln cent sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Think about that for a second. A single penny, worth more than a car. That's why serious collectors weigh their 1983 pennies carefully. A normal 1983 zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. But the rare copper version weighs around 3.1 grams. That tiny difference could mean the difference between 1 cent and life-changing value. So if you have a 1983 D penny that looks unusual, darker, heavier, or strangely solid compared to other pennies, it might deserve closer inspection immediately. Now let's talk about color, because this detail matters more than people realize. Most old 1983 D pennies appear brown today because of age and circulation. But collectors pay close attention to red examples with original mint color still visible. Bright red uncirculated coins can sell for impressive prices, especially in high grades. That old, dirty 1989 D Lincoln penny sitting at the bottom of a coin jar could secretly be worth thousands of dollars, and some collectors are desperately searching for these hidden treasures right now. Most people see a stained, scratched penny and think it's worthless. But what if I told you one tiny minting mistake on a 1989 D penny could turn 1 cent into big money, or even life-changing value? And here's the shocking part. Some of the most valuable 1989 D Lincoln pennies were discovered completely by accident. A few were found in pocket change. Others turned up in dusty piggy banks and forgotten collections. Ordinary people nearly spent them without ever realizing they were holding a rare coin collectors would fight over. Tonight, you're going to learn exactly what makes certain 1989 D pennies so valuable, how to identify the rare errors, and why some of these dirty old coins are creating excitement all across the coin collecting world. The story of the 1989 D penny begins during a fascinating time in U.S. mint history. By the late 1980s, billions of Lincoln cents were pouring out of the Denver Mint every year. Most were ordinary coins meant for everyday spending. But hidden among those billions were mysterious minting mistakes, unusual varieties, and rare condition coins that would later become legendary among collectors. At first, nobody noticed them. That's what makes this story so incredible. These valuable pennies blended into circulation for decades. They passed through gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, vending machines, and cash registers unnoticed. Some became dark brown and dirty from years of use, making them look even more worthless. But appearances can be dangerously deceiving in the coin world. Now listen carefully, because the first thing you need to check is the mint mark. Under the 1989 date, you should see a tiny D, meaning the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Most are common, but certain error varieties and high-grade examples can command shocking prices. And here's where things start getting exciting. One of the most talked about errors connected to late 1980s Lincoln pennies is doubling. Collectors search these coins with magnifying glasses looking for doubled letters and numbers. Check the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date itself. If the lettering appears doubled or blurry, you may have discovered a valuable doubled die or machine doubling error. Some doubled error pennies have sold for hundreds of dollars, depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Imagine finding that in a pile of dirty change. That's the kind of hidden treasure collectors dream about every day. But the 1989 D penny has even more secrets. Some examples were struck off-center, creating dramatic minting mistakes where part of the design is missing. These errors happen when the coin blank shifted during the striking process. If your penny has an uneven border, missing lettering, or blank sections near the rim, it could be worth serious money. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, the bigger the money can become. But now comes one of the strangest discoveries connected to 1989 Lincoln cents. Certain coins show die cracks and die chips, so severe that collectors gave them nicknames. These raised lines and bumps happen when the minting dies begin to break apart after striking millions of coins. Some cracks stretch across Lincoln's face or through the lettering like lightning bolts frozen in metal. Collectors absolutely love dramatic die crack errors because every one looks unique. And yes, even old and dirty examples can still be worth impressive amounts. Now here's a shocking auction fact that stunned coin hunters. A high-grade red 1989 D Lincoln penny certified by a professional grading company sold for thousands of dollars because it was in nearly flawless condition. Think about that for a second. A coin most people ignore completely ended up bringing big money simply because it survived in extraordinary shape. That's why collectors never stop searching rolls of pennies from banks. Because hidden treasure can appear anywhere. Now let's talk about color, because this matters more than most people realize. Lincoln pennies are often categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. Fully red examples with bright original mint luster are the most valuable in top grades. But don't make the mistake of throwing away dirty brown coins. Rare errors and unusual varieties can still carry life-changing value even if the coin looks ugly and worn. And whatever you do, never clean your coin. Cleaning destroys originality and can instantly reduce collector value. In fact, experienced collectors often prefer naturally aged surfaces over clean, shiny coins. That dirt and toning may actually help prove the coin hasn't been altered.